Today, we're jumping into a masterpiece by HARISHANKAR Parsai, an absolute legend of Hindi literature, known for his razor-sharp wit. The story is Bhid or Bhiviye, which translates to sheep and wolves. Now, on the surface, it looks like a simple animal fable. But let me tell you, underneath, it is one of the most brilliant and honestly chilling critiques of how democracy itself can be twisted and turned into a weapon. So the story kicks off with this perfectly ironic idea. The animals in the forest suddenly get it in their heads that they've hit this new level of civilization. They're ready for democracy. A revolutionary idea sweeps through the jungle. They're talking about laws, elections, a whole new golden age of safety for everyone. The dream is officially born. And that brings us right to our first section, the democratic dream. For the most vulnerable animals in the forest, especially the sheep, this dream feels like it's finally within their grasp. Okay, so just look at the simple math here, because this is what's fueling all that optimism for the sheep. They're kind, they're gentle, and they make up a massive 90% of the population. Their predators, the wolves, they're just a tiny 10% minority. So for the sheep, democracy is a numbers game they are absolutely guaranteed to win. I mean, how could they possibly lose, right? Safety feels like a mathematical certainty. And this slide just captures the two completely different worlds perfectly. On one side, you've got the sheep, who are just euphoric. They're thinking, our fear is finally over. We can pass laws to protect the weak. But for the wolves, this isn't a dream. It's an existential crisis. It's not just about what they're going to eat. It's about losing their spot at the top of the food chain. Their entire way of life is about to go extinct. And that existential threat, well, it very quickly spirals into what you could call the predator's panic. Yeah, for the wolves, this whole democratic dream is a total waking nightmare. So as the wolf leader is falling into despair, his number one suck-up, this old jackal, he sees an opening. Parsai makes a point here. He says every powerful wolf has jackals like this, these flatterers who just live off the scraps. And this jackal, he doesn't just approach his master with concern. No, he comes with the cunning of a political operator who smells a huge opportunity. The wolf basically lays out what he sees as an unbreakable law of nature. He's like, look, we're 10%, they're 90%. Why on earth would prey ever vote for its predator? In the wolf's mind, the election is already lost. He just can't imagine a world where the sheep would willingly hand over power to their own executioners. He thinks fleeing is the only option left. But the old jackal, this master of political theater, he isn't panicking at all. He promises a solution in just one day. And what he comes back with is the jackal's master plan, a scheme to not just win the election, but to literally turn reality completely on its head. And the plan is a total masterclass in cynical political strategy. Step 1, rebrand the candidate. You disguise the predator as a saint. Step 2, you build a propaganda machine, get a team together to sell the lie. And step 3, you deceive the voters. You win the trust of the very sheep you plan to eat. The transformation is just pure political theater. The jackal paints a holy tilak on the wolf's forehead, puts a prayer necklace on him, and even stuffs grass in his mouth, a visual promise that he's a vegetarian now. Parsai's satire here is just so biting. The wolf doesn't actually have to change his nature, he just needs to change his costume. The performance is everything. So, with the wolf all dressed up, it's time to roll out the propaganda team, a strategy called the colorful deception. And this, right here, is where Parsai's satire takes aim at the very institutions that are supposed to protect society. The team is made up of 3 jackals, and each one is painted a different color to represent a pillar of society. The yellow jackal, he plays the intellectual, the poet, the scholar. The blue jackal is the media and the political establishment, the journalist, the leader. And the green jackal, he's the religious authority. Parsai's genius here is showing how these 3 forces, intellect, media, and faith, can be turned into a powerful, unified propaganda machine for the predator. So the yellow intellectual starts things off. He just howls, hua hua, but the old jackal, the chief spin doctor, translates it as this profound poetry for the sheep, comparing the wolf directly to God. It's just a hilarious and brutal parody of how complex, empty intellectual language can be used to praise power and make tyranny sound respectable. Next up, the blue jackal, representing the media and politicians, delivers an absolute masterclass in twisted logic. His argument is a classic political tactic. First, you remind the voters of how weak and scared they are. You are gentle. You are weak. Then you present the predator as the only one who can possibly protect them. The wolf is strong. Hand your safety over to him. It is the ultimate protection racket. And finally, the green religious guru jackal comes in to close the deal by weaponizing faith itself. He promises the sheep that their earthly sacrifice is going to be rewarded in heaven. Vote for the wolf here, he preaches, and you will secure your place in the afterlife. It's a timeless critique of how religious authority can be twisted to demand obedience and secure worldly power for the corrupt. So after this relentless, multi-pronged propaganda campaign, the sheep are completely and totally sold. They believe the wolf is their greatest protector. And so, we arrive at the final outcome of this little democratic experiment. The propaganda works. It works perfectly. The sheep, completely convinced that their predator is now their protector, march to the polls. And in a landslide victory, they vote to hand over 100% of the power to the wolves. They have freely and democratically chosen their own executioners. And the wolves, oh, they do not waste a single second. The very first law passed by the new Council for the Protection of Sheep is a carefully worded meal plan. One soft lamb for breakfast, a full sheep for lunch, and, for health reasons, of course, only half a sheep for dinner. The democratic dream has been fully realized, and its rules are now officially law. Parsai ends the story right there, with that brutal, bureaucratic punchline. His satire is this timeless warning. Democracy is not immune to deception. It shows how easily fear can be manipulated, and how the very institutions that are supposed to inform us, intellectuals, the media, even faith, can be painted to serve the powerful. Which leaves all of us with the story's real question. It's not just whether this is about us, but maybe it's who are our colorful jackals, and what exactly are they trying to sell us?